Hello, Jim Rocks. Welcome to Royal Oasis Spa for You Educational Tidbits. I am Zenobia of Royal Oasis Spa-GJC.com, licensed esthetician in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I am a skincare influencer, a person who is a social media creator who posts content related to skincare and skincare products. I have a passion for providing tidbits, tips on skin, and unbiased reviews on skincare products for you followers. I give advice on what products to use and how to use them and what to avoid in the application methods. So you may think skin is just an organ, but also is a fact that skin is made up of tissues that work together as a single structure to perform unique and critical functions. The skin is made up of layers and cells and tissues which are held to underlying structures by connective tissues. The most superficial layer of skin or of the skin is the epidermis, which is attached to the deeper dermis. So today we're going to talk about the 5 layers of the epidermis. The epidermis is the top layer of skin that you can see, you can touch. Epidermis is the thinnest layer of skin, and the dermis is the thicker or the thickest layer of skin. Epidermis act as our body shield defending against harmful environmental factors. It's responsible for skin tone and the creation of new skin cells. The dermis contains collagen, which gives support to the tissues, and elastin proteins, which is responsible for flexibility, which help makes up 90% of its thickness. The skin gives our resilience and our elasticity, as well as our pain receptors, sweat, oil glands, and blood vessels. So, but let me be clear because I feel like I'm going too fast into this educational tidbit. The dermis, even though it's the second layer, but it is divided into 2 parts, the papillary dermis and the retinal dermis. The papillary dermis has a network of capillaries, and then the reticular, or if I'm saying that right, reticular dermis contains the collagens and elastin fibers. So I just wanted to clear that up, that the dermis has 2 layers, and they're divided up into 2 parts. The papillary dermis and the retinal dermis. Then you have the hypodermis, which is the bottom layer, which is the fatty portion of the skin that helps cushion muscles and bones and regulate body temperature. So estheticians are licensed to work only on the epidermis layer of the skin unless they're working with a licensed medical practitioner. Then the dermis is reserved for the domain of doctors and nurses, and all of our connective tissue, nerve endings, sweat glands, oil glands, and hair follicles exist in the dermis as well as the hypodermis. So as an esthetician, understanding the science of skincare is the best way to ensure you are competent to help clients meet their skincare goals. So we have to pay attention to tone and color, oiliness and shine, pore size, texture, redness and inflammation, moisture levels, elasticity and firmness. And each layer of our skin works together to keep our body safe, including our skeletal system, organs, muscles, and tissues. The epidermis function is hydration, producing new skin cells, protection, skin color. When it comes to hydration, the stratum corneum, which is the outside layer, or known as the horny layer, holds in water and keeps skin hydrated and healthy. When the skin is producing new skin cells, it develops at the bottom layer of the epidermis, which is the stratum basale, and then it travels up through the other layers as they get older. So they reach the outermost layer of our epidermis about a month. And that's why we tell clients, get a facial once a month. There's no need to over exfoliate your skin or to really overdo it. You just need a facial once a month. So where the skin cells shed from our body as new cells develop at the bottom layer, which I think is really interesting. The protection that the epidermis gives. The epidermis acts like an armor, to protect our body from harmful harmful things like UV rays, the ultraviolet radiation, pathogens. Pathogens are the bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, and chemicals. The epidermis give us the skin is color. The epidermis has cells called melanocytes, which emits melanin, which is a group of pigments in our skin that provides the color. So from the deepest to the superficial, 5 layers of the epidermis that I just gave you. So again, so now we're going to break them down. The 5 layers, we're going to break those 5 layers down. You have the stratum basal, which is the basal layer. You have the stratum spinosum, which is the prickle cell layer. You have the stratum granulosum, which is the granular layer. You have the stratum lucidum, which is the clear layer, and you have the stratum corneum, which is the horny layer. And we spoke about the horny layer last week if you had tuned in last week. So the stratum basal, that contains the stem cells that divide to produce new keratinocytes. And the stratum spinosum, which is the prickle cell layer, provides structural support. The stratum granulosum, which is the granular layer, produces, I cannot pronounce it, but it's kerathohyalin. And lamellar bodies of waterproofing. Okay. Stratum lucidum, which is the clear layer, is found in the thick skin, which is the palms and the soles of your feet. Stratum corneum, again, is the horny layer. So that's composed of dead skin cells, flattened keratinocytes from the skins that forms the skin's outermost barrier. So that's a lot to remember because we had to learn this in school. So those are the 5 layers within the epidermis. Okay. So now I want to describe the layers of the skin and the functions of each layer of the 5 layers of skin. So the stratum basal, or the basal layer that some of us call it, that because I already said that's where the stem cells are located, because it's the innermost layer of the skin that we put topical products on, that we apply those topical products on the surface of our skin, which cannot reach the deeper layers, or have an effect. So I believe this is only my opinion when it comes to those stem cells. It seems like it's a waste of time to apply stem cells when the uppermost layers of the skin prevent large compounds like stem cells from reaching this deep layer. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't know if it does much to stem cells, because if the dermis is so deep down and our canvas is the epidermis, and it takes so long for products to, reach down into that next layer, or maybe my thinking needs to be adjusted. You can tell me in the comments section. The basal layer, if you did not know, is where the keratinocytes are born. When they're produced, the next cells travel upwards. So it's pushing the existing older cells even higher in a process known as keratinization. So now eventually these skin cells reach the outer layer of our skin, which we push off the dead skin cells, the flaky cells, and we replace them. So this process takes up to 30 to 40 days and is affected by genetics, hydration, and age. So there are 2 types of cells that are found in the basal layer. That is the Merkel cells and melanocytes. And the Merkel cells are the receptors that send messages to your brain that gets translated as your sense of touch. And we have a lot of those cells on the palms of our hands and the soles of our feet. Melanocytes produce melanin, which is the pigment that gives our skin and hair color. The stratum spinosum, or the spiny layer, is the layer that gives the epidermis strength. It holds the cells tightly together to prevent your skin from tearing or blistering. Stratum granulosum, or the granular layer, lying above the stratum spinosum and below the stratum corneum, it has a grainy appearance due to the change of the keratinocytes. So keratinocytes have granules within them, which are visible under a microscope in this layer, is functioning like it's like waterproof. Um, the stratum, where am I at? The stratum lucidum is a thin of cells that's found only in the thick skin of the palms and of the hands, fingers, and the soles of the feet. Stratum corneum is the most superficial layer of the epidermis, and this layer is which is exposed to the environment. It's what you see on me right now. There are about 15 to 30 layers of cells in the stratum corneum. This dry, dead layer helps to prevent penetration of microbes and the dehydration of underlying tissues. Cells in this layer shed periodically and are replaced by cells pushed up from the stratum granulosum. So microdermabrasion helps remove some of the dry upper layer and aim to keep the skin looking fresh and healthy. And this is the only this is the only layer of skin estheticians are licensed to work on, performing facials, chemical peels, microdermabrasion, hydrodermabrasion, dermaplaning, and extractions. Cosmetologists, also work on the epidermis, the outer layer of skin. So providing treatments aimed at improving the appearance and the health of the skin and the scalp. So the integumentary system is our body's outer layer. This is the whole system, the integumentary system. It consists of hair, skin, nails, and glands. So our integumentary system works with other systems in our body to keep it balanced. The integumentary system acts as a physical barrier, protecting our body from bacteria, infection, injury, and sunlight. It also helps regulate our body temperature and allow us to feel skin sensations like hot and cold. So the reason why I'm bringing it up in the integumentary system, because one of the main structures in skin and our skin is composed of 3 layers, as I mentioned earlier, from top to bottom: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Because our body is a very complex machine, and the integumentary system helps us to absorb vitamin D, which act as a hormone and is crucial to our bone health because it affects calcium absorption. So when it comes to wound healing and regeneration, this is the function of the epidermis, providing a waterproof and protective barrier, prevents pathogen entry, contains melanocytes and keratinocytes. So what common conditions affect the epidermis? Well, acne, eczema, melanoma. Those are the 3 things that comes off the top of my head. What common signs or symptoms of epidermis conditions? Talking about dark spots, dry, cracked skin, peeling skin, scaly skin. The common treatment for the epidermis is antibiotics, antifungal medications, retinoids. So how our skin works to protect and rejuvenate itself will help you properly understand and care for your skin. I study every single day to get this information dedicated to memory to help me to carry this information into the treatment room and provide the best treatment as possible to help my clients meet their skincare goals. Now, before I close out, if you are new to aesthetics, or you're new to skincare, or the skincare is your niche, please learn the basic skin anatomy, its function, skin conditions, importance of pH balance, role of nutrition, and most of all, understanding skin types. Skin science offers a wealth of knowledge for aspiring estheticians and skincare enthusiasts alike. So remember, understanding the science behind the skin can empower you to provide better care for your clients and stay ahead in this ever-evolving beauty industry. That is all of the educational tidbits I have for you today. I hope you learned something new today, and maybe this tidbit was a refresher for some of you. And I give these tidbits It's always a refresher for me. It keeps everything fresh into the front of my brain. And for you Estes, I pray that you do wonderful in your career of excellence. Please feel free to, leave a comment or be kind and click the like button. Also subscribe to this channel and click the notification button to be the first to know when new videos are published. I will catch you next week. I'm going to talk about blue light. Does it damage the skin? So get your questions ready. Y'all be safe out there. I love you. God bless.